Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today is a licensed massage therapist and the inventor and practitioner of the Quick Draw. It's a proprietary modality targeting vital trigger points along the neck, the shoulder, the spine. Please welcome Josh Shu, aka the Wellness Sheriff, Hokkaido Hank. What's going on, Hank? How's it going today, sir?
Howdy, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Thank you so much for taking a few moments to spend a lunch break with me. What's your go-to lunch or sandwich?
Go-to sandwich. I like the tomato mayo, kind of
Okay,
grilled in like pan fried in butter. Yeah, tomato mayo, pan fried in butter.
I
That's what
like
I
that.
like.
I like that.
Yeah,
You any particular bread?
sourdough for
Yeah,
sure.
nice. I like that.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
wang.
I like that. Do you put any? Do you season the tomato when you put it in?
Absolutely, I love pepper. A little bit of salt. Tomatoes, high water content.
Yeah.
Got to
No,
balance it out.
I like that, dude. I like that. So, and obviously you would know because we'll talk a little bit about your past and everything like that. So, so anyone who's seeing or watching the episode, and obviously in video, or if you've been in Orlando, you probably have seen him around. Hokkaido Hank is a wellness sheriff. I was privileged to see him. He's been doing this for a bit, and I kind of wanted to have a moment to chat with him. So I kind of wanted you to be able to give us the story about how the concept of Hokkaido Hank wellness sheriff came about.
So Hokkaido Hank is just a cool sounding name. It's got an H alliteration, and um, so I had a background doing sushi, and we had a bunch of roles that had pretty funny sounding names with the same kind of sound, and it was starting to bridge the era where there's a bunch of East meets West roles. We had like barbecue sushi. We called it barbecue shi, and um, so naturally, I tried to imagine someone who is East West. So Hokkaido is a city in Japan. It's known for its fresh sea urchin and scallops and shellfish alike because it's got cold waters. And Hank is just like a Western sounding name. So we were just the chefs and I were thinking, who would Hokkaido Hank be? Like, what would this kind of person be? Like this guy that just makes whatever kind of freaking sushi he wants, and it's like not afraid to do it his way, even if it's like not canon to what was done before. So yeah, naturally this character existed outside of me,
Yeah.
and I know it just was a joke that stayed in the back of my mind. And as I entered kind of massage therapy, I started thinking about like, what if this guy was a massage therapist? And things just kind of fell into place. Like a cowboy's got a holster for their gun, and massage therapists have a holster for their lotion. So like naturally, you imagine like them spinning their gun or
Yeah.
spinning their lotion, putting it in. So that was the start of it, and this joke just kept getting
Building.
bigger and bigger every year.
So I know, like, so let's back up a little bit because obviously, like, I know that during the time, like you said, you worked in the food industry, and then during that time, you actually, while you were doing that, you also were actually going for school, right, to actually
Yes,
become a licensed massage therapist.
yes,
And so, what was the trigger point? Was there like I guess a trigger point that led you to going? Because now you're doing Hank full time, correct?
yes.
So what was tell me a little bit about that evolution of, so the idea kind of came, you kind of went through it, and then when where you're doing this in food, at what point did you kind of just said, okay, I'm going to start doing, like, was there like a, I don't know, like, what was the evolution of it, of you becoming, of like, did it become one of those where you were just originally Josh Shu, massage therapist, doing it on the side, and then you're kind of like, then you're like, well, what if I blend everything together? What was that? What's that origin story?
All right. So originally there was Josh Shu, the student. I went to the University of Florida, and I just wanted to make my parents happy. So I did like pre med, pre health, My grades were pretty good. I was an A B student, but I also knew like I just wasn't cut out for med school. So after college, I became a server while I was applying to different grad schools, and that was my first taste of the hospitality industry. And my first big break was I got an apprenticeship with this old alcoholic, pervy, immensely skilled Japanese like sushi chef.
Okay.
And if you hear that archetype and you're a sushi chef out there, you know like that's a thing. Like
Okay.
that's the highest level of sushi. So
Okay. Did not know this. I love this.
yeah, so that was just a lucky break. You saw how hard I worked and how detailed I was. So um, that was my break into the industry. And after falling in love with it and doing it for about 5 years and coming to Orlando and doing it for another five, um, that was kind of like uh, my boot camp or like my spiritual journey where like I really got to be myself in the kitchens. I didn't have to worry about exams or grades. I felt like I received the validation I needed and like the psychological hierarchies of getting the validation and just believing in myself, believing in what I could do. And I think when I turned 28 years old, I just started getting into like the third life crisis. Oh my God, I'm going to become 30. And I've just been like messing around in kitchens. Um, I had like a very serious crush on somebody. And when I asked them about their ambitions, she was like, man, I want to own a house. And that just kind of changed me to be like, oh, I need to do something with my hands, but I need to make a little more money. And throughout my stint in various kitchens, I've always been the one to take care of my staff with like hand massages or neck massages. And I just knew I would be good at it. Um, I'd been massaging my whole life basically because my mom would watch soap operas and she'd ask me to just like, stand on her back or like rub her calves while she was watching One Life to Live. So that was like my the earliest introduction of that. So I mean, life just comes at you in different sine waves, and things from your past just kind of intertwine and create like the DNA of who you are today. That's just how life is.
Yeah. And then so then you decided like, hey, I'm going to do massage therapy, and you kind of and then it kind of it just evolved from there as you were working. You were taking classes and going through that.
Right. So I think an important thing to know is I tried doing massage therapy exclusively, and it was just so boring to me. Um, I missed the kitchen so much. I missed being rowdy and just throwing things really hard and screaming uh, facetiously. Not, I
Yeah.
never actually got angry, but just
Yeah.
being a rascal, being a menace in the kitchen. And I realized that's just a part of who I am. I can't really work in such controlled conditions and have my name on like an Excel spreadsheet with my stats like that. A lot of things about the massage industry just really rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I knew I had to bridge the two. So throughout the entire time I had a massage shop, I always held on to some kind of part time kitchen job. And that's where I met a lot of my heroes. And that's where I got a bunch of my inspiration. Just listening to music in the kitchen and seeing what everyone else was playing on like the Bluetooth speaker. Yeah, that's already like free inspiration. Um, I use some of that music today, and when I create content for marketing, like that's just my life. You
Yeah.
see pieces of my life in everything I create. And Hokkaido Hank especially is kind of like an ode to everything I've been through in the past.
So
All the great things I want to share.
I love that, man. What at what point like so then what was the switch that made you go, "Oh, I'm going to like the character that I've kind of created or the, you know, kind of we'll say like the alter ego of yours. Where was the what was the switch that made said, "Hey, I should incorporate, you know, Hokkaido Hank and do massage therapy and like and do chair massages and stuff like that." Like what was the flip switch or the aha moment?
I think it was the natural progression of a creative entrepreneurship. I've held multiple jobs my whole life from the ages of 20 all the way till, yeah, even up till currently. I used to have part time jobs. And I think when you have enough jobs for that amount of time, there's just, you're eventually going to have pattern recognition of, I don't have full like creative control and like how this workplace operates. I feel like this could be better. I feel like that could be better. I think massage should leave people feeling like this. I don't think I should be an upselling, salesperson when people just want to come to relax. And then I go to kitchens and I'm like, I don't know, I think people should be more hospitable, be more open when they greet their guests, or just more direct about things. Um, and it's just like the accumulation of all these ideas and realizing, hey, maybe I should just try to do my own thing and leverage the network I have, leverage the skills I have. Um, I'm just a great worker in everything I do, for every place I've worked for. So why not believe in myself and see what I can do for myself? Um, and Red Light has was like my nest, and how they kind of hosted me for the first time, and I dressed up in like some Party City Halloween costume, and that was like my first like pilot like trial run of, is this gonna work? Like, am I just a clown? Like that. Those thoughts are always running through my head. Like I'm always roasting myself. Like, is this just a joke? At the end of the day, like, am I the joke? You never know. That's the discomfort that I have to lean into.
Yeah. Which
Yeah,
is hard because a lot of people never want to lean into the discomfort. Now,
yeah.
let's talk about that, like the whole aspect, because let tell people let's talk about what people can expect when they come to like a place, and by all means you can name drop all the places that you go do your events at. We're going to have you I'll have you at the end tell people like where they can follow, see you and go to you to experience some wellness, the wellness sheriff in action. But tell people what they can expect. Let's first like break it down on the aspect of, I want to break down for we'll talk about the your first time and people's experience when they come to you, but what can people expect when they come and they see you at an event? What are you offering to them? What's the, kind of like, I know you have like a menu of items that they can select it or do, but just kind of give people for the listeners what they can expect if they're going there and they're at a bar or something like that and they see you there. What can they expect from you?
You can expect me to put you into timeout. Um, when you come to me and um, when you come to my chair, I offer two menu items: a 5 minute quick draw. If you're in a rush, I can still get your entire neck, back, and shoulders. I know all the trigger points. I've worked on over 6,000 bodies. And then I have the 10-minute sunset rider, which is pretty much a double down of the quick draw. And the thing with the sunset rider is it usually takes somebody about 5 minutes just to relax. So I think if you want the full experience, you want to get the sunset. And I can really take care of you and show you what the skill and what Hokkaido Hank is all about. Because this is more so, it's marketing, but it's also fun.
Yeah.
But underneath that, I offer an incredibly valuable product. I know that um, in the current market, massage is marketed as something super luxurious, kind of like a splurge. But I believe that massage is incredibly vital to everyday maintenance. Gravity is always working on you. So why not have the wellness sheriff tame those tensions and fight gravity back? Like, I'm here for you, and I offer a very, very low price point of
Uh,
entry.
that you do, man, and you do a heck of a job. So I wanted to, and then and obviously I'm gonna plug things. Obviously I know you're gonna plug things as well, but I want to, like, so you do everything from home sessions, you do employee events, group parties. I will say that I think this is a great, I mean, I've seen similar-ish type things, but I will say, like, I love the fact that you are at a variety of different places, and maybe even places that people may not expect you to be at. Like I love the fact that you're like, you're at bars like Red Light. I've seen you're at markets. I've seen you at places like I know like recently you've been at the Borough Cafe and Play. And you've been like you have kind of an itinerary of where you're at. One of the and you're absolutely right. So I can safely say I've had I've had a wellness check by the but he is this trigger, the quick draw. I've definitely gone and I definitely had one when I went over. I had a sunset rider when I was at Red Light, and I will admit at first it did take a few minutes for me because there's like a lot of there's because you're at a bar and there's music and there's people talking and you're kind of like, well, what the heck, what's going on? I'm like I'm face I'm face in and this, but I will say that after a few minutes, like I can safely say you like and I've seen videos of other people talking about like you definitely know, like that's one of the things I will say that you definitely know because you knew where my pain points were. Like I didn't have to say anything. You gave enough pressure. You went to the areas that you knew that I needed, that that I was like I have, that I stress on, and I have areas of tension. And you did everything with like the gun, and it was just very. And you're right. After like by the time 5 minutes passed, like I kind of zoned out, and I didn't even know where like even though I was at Red Light. I was literally getting a massage with you, and I was just like there. I was just zoned out and letting you do your thing, which I think is fantastic. And I think like, and then as you started, the more when you started describing it, I started thinking about it even more. I'm like, man, I'm like, it's so true. Like even like a 10-minute massage, because yeah, you can ask your loved one, hey, can you give me a massage? That's usually like a 5-minute thing. They don't know how to do. A lot of them don't know what the hell they're doing. The half-assed, like they start rubbing your back, and you're like, oh, that's it. This is actually like you're actually hitting points. You know where you're going and what you're doing, which obviously allows even just a short little span of attention. It's amazing how much
Yes.
tension it releases.
When you get a 10-minute massage, that is 7+ years of massage experience distilled into the best hits, the best points of where I can offer, my pressure.
Yeah,
And the pressure I offer is going to be different for every type of body. Working in high level kitchens, you treat every ingredient um, minimally just to let the ingredient shine. And every person that sits in my chair is like prime ingredient, kind of like the highest wagyu beef. So I want to treat them and let them know that um, I'm going to give you the care and attention you need, customized to exactly what you need. Yeah, I have my go-to points, but it's always going to be a little bit different for each person,
yeah.
based on their body type.
What so let's go let's rewind a little just because I want to know about like the initial, so like when you, because you said Red Light was your first one. So talk a little bit about that first experience, because that's always hard for someone when they're starting out, especially in your case, because like you're there and it's whether someone comes up or doesn't come up. So like
Yeah,
talk a little bit about that, like that whole thing about like who did you approach them and say, hey, would I can I put a chair up, or did they approach you?
I was so
How did
scared
that
to
happen?
approach people. I was so scared that I'd be like scaring people away. I
Yeah.
was my wardrobe at the time was like a very serious cowboy hat, like very dark. I had sunglasses. I had a very thick mustache, and I knew it would be weird. Um, I was like, if people don't get it, then shame on them. Like, there's a bit of an ego there. Um, as shy as I was, I'm like, let me just stick to the idea. But the people that did come up, uh, you'd say they're kind of brave, right?
Yeah.
And the people that came up really got it. And I think for the 1 in 5 people that would come up and get a massage, that was just the feel I needed to know that maybe there was something. I wasn't completely an idiot. I wasn't a complete clown. Um, there's like maybe a cult following for what I do, and maybe Orlando has the creative freedom and to be able to like assimilate of what I have to offer into their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you did, okay, so once you got the you did Red Light. How was like the next, like, how did you start? Was it like word of mouth? People started hearing about it, or how did you kind of start finding new locations to be able to set up at? Because obviously that's always got to be a tough one. It's like, hey, where can I set up at your shop? And then, and is it one of those where you kind of like, you go to a you go to a place that you're interested in, you're like, hey, I want to do this, and then if they're like, I don't know, I'm like, hey, I'll get in the chair, I'll show you what I can do, so and what your customers can get, like you doing stuff like that, like how are you like selecting or getting your places of where you're going to go and introducing yourself, because that's got to be really tough, since you said that's kind of like you're kind of shy to begin with. So
Absolutely.
how do you go, how do you handle that part, because that's a hard one. It's almost like you're a sales job. You got to now be like, hey, can I come and do massages here?
Yeah, absolutely. There's always going to be a hurdle of like, how do I keep this going? Where do I go? I think one of the double edged advantages of being so niche and having that small cult following is that the people who really get it, and they also want to support you. I've been very fortunate to have people in my network. I do have to give a shout out to downtown Amy Brown
Love her.
slash Goldox.
Yeah.
She's just like a busy bee, like pollinating, um, hooking me up with different possible gigs, and also Miss Erica at Redlight Redlight. She's always championed the idea. After you get a massage, after she got a massage, she was just like, "Wow, this makes sense." It's like what you're offering is something so pure, and that's how she markets me to like all of her friends. And yeah, it definitely has been for me word of mouth, and just maintaining like a really good reputation, focusing on what I can give, focusing on my product, and always thinking about how I can make a customer feel. And like via just my appearance, I've been changing it up a lot in the past recent in the last couple of months. Um, I just want to be someone more approachable, and because I don't want to deny anyone, I don't want to scare anyone away from a
Yeah.
massage.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of the thing. Like, it's not like it's not like you're like talking like howdy partner. Like you're, it's kind of like this is like you're. It's fun, but it's like it's supposed to be fun. Like you're trying to make it almost like, I want to say almost like very obtainable, like you said, like an obtainable thing. And it happens to be that you're a character when you're kind of your alter ego when you do this,
Yeah,
which I think is great. And I think, and you could probably talk about as well, like as your time went, I'm assuming from the first time you've done red light to obviously where you are, because now how long have you been now doing Hokkaido Hank, as a and doing going to different locations and stuff like that now?
it's been about 3 years now, 3 years strong. I was always holding down a job during the first couple of years, tweaking things. But yeah, a month ago, I just went all in. I've had so many ideas pent up and written down. I'm like, I can't do these ideas. I don't have enough time. Let's just go for it.
Yeah.
You probably saw me on the street corner, kind of like
I did.
doing the rallies.
I definitely want to. I definitely want to talk about that. I definitely want to talk about. But I also want to talk about, so like once you kind of went that route, I'm assuming you've evolved. You've evolved. Like your setup is evolved. Because obviously you had like you have your massage chair and you have your Theragun,
Hmm.
and things like that. But like you also have kind of like your menu, which is kind of like a banner, kind of like that talks a little bit about who you are. But then you
Yeah,
also even have like a TV. You even have like a monitor that kind of shows you in action and people, and all the different like videos and pictures, which I think
yeah,
is great, because then people, and you have it set up where it's like not right next to where you are, at least at red light. It's a little like it's somewhere else. So that way, if someone sees it, they can be like, what is this? And then they look, and then they can kind of see, kind of like, it's a very smart idea of how you kind of created it, because it allows people to realize like, oh, this isn't like, there's a lot of people that have been doing this or getting massages from him,
exactly.
and that's kind of what helps when people start seeing like, okay, well, this isn't just some like fly by night guy, like he knows what he's doing, even though you have like your massage, because I get it, like people sometimes are a little skeptical on that whole aspect of it, but I think that when, as you kind of, you make it in a way where it's like, okay, yeah, I want to do this, and then obviously I assume the word of mouth aspect, once you get someone on the in that chair, and then all of a sudden you get a build up, then everyone starts like, well, what the heck, everyone's getting a massage, I want to get one too.
Absolutely. It's a super like momentum based
Yeah.
business. I guess it's a little bit different than most other businesses because I'm actually performing.
Hmm.
That's how I have to view it. And human nature, people love to watch. Um, Now they don't like being watched while they watch. Now that's why I always put the monitor away from my setup so that people can, kind of manage and calculate their own risk to reward on like what is this person offering? It's so strange. What's this guy about? Um, you walk up to a vendor if they like look up at you and like walk towards you, you're like, oh, eek! Like, let me just look at what you're offering. I don't want. So understanding that, I always want to give people the space, and I do respect people's boundaries. Um, that's just a given. Like, I'm a very respectful person. I'll never like as much as a performer, as much as I am a performer. I don't get into people's spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of
No,
keep it on stage.
I totally get it. I mean, but I will say like I'm a fan. Like I am definitely on whenever if I'm somewhere and you're there, I'm definitely getting I'm definitely going and getting a sunset rider because it is it hits. I even told my wife I was like, "Oh, I'm like now I want to know what a full 40 I got home session 45 minutes, 90 minutes or 60 minutes is."
Yeah.
I was like that. I'm like it. I was like, man, this felt so good on a Friday, and then especially after you've had maybe a beverage or two, like like you're a little bit more chill, and then it's like it hits, man. It really hits.
Hmm.
What do you think has been the hardest transition, or the hardest part in this whole evolution or creating? Because obviously you're doing something that not a lot of people are doing, and it is a service. But what do you think has been the hardest part in this like during this journey that you've been on so far?
I think the hardest part is, I think from a business standpoint, purely scalability, because there's only one Hank. And I thought about having like a team of Avenger cowboys go across the city, but that just seems like so much to manage. And no, there can only really be one Hank, right?
Yeah,
So, um, yeah, that, and also just my physical stamina. It, I'm hyper mobile. It takes me like 10 minutes to set up, 10 minutes to break down. I don't have to cook a bunch of things. I don't have like a huge cleanup. But at the same time, I'm stuck in like the pipeline of time. There's one massage at a time. You have to get in line. So like people are telling me if you're like if this is like the skilled laborer's dilemma, like you should up your prices and make people pay premium. And that's the part where I'm like, no, I the whole point is to help normalize massage.
yeah,
And I want to go out there, and I still think it's fairly priced,
it
for what I
is.
charge. Um, yeah, I think yeah, if you do the math and you divide like what the market price is for a massage, and then you just divide it down to 10 minutes, it is what I offer.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's not normalized enough for people to know that massage is just a very like everyday thing that you can get and that people need. I'm not loading you up with dopamine or sweets or adrenaline or fats, oils. I'm not selling you some kind of weird synthetic product. Like, I'm physically working on your body and offering like physical medicine to you in public. Yeah.
yeah. No, and I think that's the big one is the fact of that is the fact that you're making it like you said, it is obtainable. It is something that you know that I'll be honest, like I've never have I seen places like I've gone to Lake Eola and I've seen other people that have like that and like their chiropractor whatever, and I just kind of never was like, oh, I'm gonna do that. I want to go do that. I obviously I did it because I wanted like that. I went to Red Light because I knew you were coming and I was gonna and I wanted to make sure I wanted to have you on the show and I wanted to try it. And after I've tried it, I was like, man, I'm like, what have I why I've been wasting all this time? I'm like, when anytime I could have like because it really I think sometimes what it is that people think, and I think and this is a great idea of the aspect of this is that a lot of people usually think massage is like, oh, it's got to be like 45 minutes to an hour, but you actually could get a good an adjustment in 10 minutes. You know, you're definitely in a better situation and a better spot than you were if you didn't do it. You know, so I think it's a fabulous idea. I just think it's super fun the fact that like I would have never really thought of it in the sense of doing it at bars or, you know, like when I saw that you were over at what is it, the Borough Borough Cafe and Play and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
certain, and I think you're at restaurants as well. I think to me, like I never would have said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go do that." But now I'm like, "Oh yeah," I'm like, I want you to go everywhere. I'm like, where else can we have you go, Hank? I was like, you know,
I think everyone knows like what a cowboy is, and everyone kind of gets how a cowboy is just kind of playful. And I also think everyone needs a massage
yeah,
at the end of the day. It's
yeah,
simple as that. Um, I think anyone anywhere can benefit from a massage. Like no one is immune to what gravity is doing to us every day, and Orlando just needs a hero who's not afraid to go out there and put themselves out there and go out there to tame these tensions and be the justice that people need for their bodies.
I love
That's what I'm
that.
about.
So one of the things that you mentioned, and I was going to ask you about, and I wanted to talk to you about it because I've seen it on social and I've seen it. So on Mills and Colonial,
Oh God.
you know, there's a do not turn left on there, and I'm kind of curious because I've seen it now for April Fools, but I've also seen it for like on regular where you're actually there holding a sign that just says "Do not turn left."
Yes, I'm very
What
passionate.
what made you come up with this? Why are you doing this? And like, I'm just kind of curious, like, where you're like, I want to do this. Like, what was like, where did that come from?
I think it was intuitive. Looking back, if I had to break it down rationally, I'd say I was a double contrarian. So, I mean, usually see people who do public stunts. They're trying to be like mischievous, like they're trying to just get eyeballs and be naughty in public and kind of raise hell against the cops or things like that. And I wanted to lean into my character of the sheriff. Like he's probably got like public duties he needs to do, and I wanted to do something that everyone was very passionate about. And so I'm like, I feel like the no left turn when someone does turn left there, everyone's just laying down on their horns. Like whether it's out of like, oh my god, this guy's so stupid, like you're holding us up, or they're like, watch out, like whether it's out of like
Yeah,
anger or like fear, everyone's just united and honking at the guy turning left. So I just wanted to jump into that artery of energy and just hold the sign and kind of be part of like the PSA of don't turn left. And I mean, that's what a sheriff would do. They try to
yeah.
protect the public. And it's something that everyone gets. Everyone knows what a cowboy is, and everyone knows like not to turn left. Just
How
want to
how
help.
how many times have you done it?
So I've done it once about 3 weeks ago, and for April Fools, I got my best friend Gandalf. I did
Yeah.
Gandalf for that, so I've done it twice. But it'll never be the same. It'll never be the same iteration anytime. It'll always
Okay.
be something different.
Okay. I
Yeah,
like
I
that.
promise.
I love that. I love that. What? So can we? I'm always kind of I'm kind of curious, and I don't know, and I'm hoping that I think I know the answer, but I'm just kind of curious. So when you thought of this idea, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna do this, the like this your circle of your circle of people, what was the reaction to it? Was it like, hey Josh, like you're crazy, like what are you doing? Or they're like, yeah, this is so you, I totally see this? Or did you get a mix? What was because I'm always intrigued when someone's doing something a little bit different. Like I applaud it, I love it, I think Orlando is made for this. That's the reason why I like when I tell people about my brand, I'm like, I think the reason it survives and it does well and things like that is because I think Orlando is very open into the creative outlets and
Hmm.
the creativity of people. And it has a great opportunity, so I'm kind of curious, like what is that, like what was that, like your circle was, how did they react to it, and how do they react to it now that it's being successful?
I think the people who knew me before I was Hank, and they saw like the bigger picture of what I was doing, they loved it and they said they were just laughing like ha ha ha. I think the people who follow Hank just as Hank are probably mixed reactions. I mean, people love to watch. They can't look away. So I think when you get the human gaze like that, um, yeah, when you attract that kind of attention, people are probably waiting in suspense to see what I'm going to do next. There's probably a small percentage of people who want to see me fail, just to see me blow up. I mean, that's natural. There's going to be people who are like, "What does this have to do with massage?" I'm so confused. And there's going to be people who are just like, "Hell yeah, this guy's a cowboy. He's just out there doing cowboy things."
Yeah,
So I think if you have some polarity in your audience, I think you're doing something right. Um, I think if you please everybody, then you're not really making a statement.
I
Or
like that.
yeah.
No, that makes total sense. That makes
Mhm.
total sense. When we were talking, when I met you and we chatted, you mentioned, and I'm kind of intrigued to kind of talk a little bit about this. You had mentioned that your dad and your family, but your dad starred in in a film based on true events, and it was filmed in Orlando,
Mhm.
and your family started in it. It's called Starring Jerry as Himself. I saw the preview because you can literally watch it. I know there's going to be like showings. It's shown across the across the world. It's won a bunch of film festivals. It's available on digital, so you can actually rent it or own it on Amazon. I believe I know that's where I saw the preview for it. So tell people what it is, starring Jerry as himself, and then kind of talk a little bit about it. I mean, I think it's awesome that it was filmed in Orlando, but tell people a little bit about it, and then is it really based on a true story? Like, is it like how real is it, or is it based on a true story? And is it based on your dad's true story? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
All right. So starring Jerry as himself is a true story. The entire film is a reenactment of events that transpired in Orlando, 2021. As a whole, it would be a story about the American dream of an immigrant father coming to America and doing everything he can to protect his family. And in 2021, my father got involved in a crazy incident involving the Chinese police that kind of intertwined the whole family together um, into this mess. You can see my whole family, we all play ourselves. There's a bit of Hank footage, cooking and doing massage as well. If you want to see the Hank cameo. But yeah, these are all true events. And after my father had the materials declassified and told our whole family, my brother was a producer in New York, and he was like, I have to like get my friend and director Law Chen, like we have to make this film now, like while it's fresh in our minds. So that's how it went. And upon reception at Slamdance 2023, we swept the awards. Everyone was just cheering my father's name, Jerry, Jerry, like it was the Jerry Springer show. Like the excitement and energy in the room was just electrifying. I felt like I was like trying to wake up. It was kind of crazy. So yeah, it has been shown around the world. In Japan, South Korea, Greece, and for some reason never got shown in Orlando. I've always been trying to champion that, but yeah, for the first time, it's being shown in Orlando on April 17th at Redlight.
That's awesome. And then is it going to be shown like I'm assuming inside the bar, like it'll just be like on TVs, or how are they doing that?
We have a giant projector screen outside, and it's going to be we're playing it by ear, but as of now, like giant tavern hall style, kind of like Hogwarts,
Yeah,
Hogwarts cafeteria. But if there's enough people, we'll just move it to the baseball field, and we'll have like a big, picnic blanket kind of deal.
that's
Yeah,
insane.
it'll
What
be a beautiful night.
I'm kind of curious on the whole like that aspect of like when you were going through it, was it, and obviously I haven't seen it, so I will be seeing it, I will be watching it whether I make it to the event or I watch it. I'm intrigued enough when I saw it, because I even watched the preview. I was watching the trailer of it on Amazon, and I was like, what the, and I was like, is this real, not real? I'm like, I gotta ask him. I'm like, so when you were going through it, where like when you found out, like I guess when you found out everything that was happening, where you're like, what the hell is happening, dad?
Yeah, we
Like
knew he was acting kind of skittish the whole time, and after the story came out, our whole family was like, "That makes complete sense, and we were just devastated at what he was going through at the time. Yeah.
How long did it take before it got declassified that you were able to kind of start from the time it happened to like to the time that you guys from the time it was declassified to the time your brother said, "Hey, we got to make this," to actually making it into a movie?
Got declassified in 2021, and it was filmed maybe 8 months later in 2022. The
Wow.
whole ordeal was just a little less than a year as well. Yeah.
That's insane, man. That is insane.
And you'll
Uh
see a bunch of Orlando landmarks. Everything happened in Orlando, and we reshot where it happened. And yeah, my dad was living in Orlando, and you'll see. Try to name as many as you can. Maybe we'll have like a little bingo card or something.
you should totally create a bingo card of every single landmark you see and see what happens. And then you could always make the free and then you could have Hank as one of the bingo spots. So when someone finds Hank, they can put it on there on there. Um, I know you're busy. I know you got things to do. So I got two more. I got two big more questions for you. One that I always ask. One is, what advice do you have for someone wanting to start something?
What advice? I think it's not enough to have like a good idea. People have good ideas all the time. They're like, oh, it should be done this way, or like, wouldn't it be nice if? I think you really have to have something personal in it, have your gut in it, and I think if you want to prove someone wrong or like an industry wrong, or if you're disgusted by the way things are, then that'll give you like the infinite fuel to really see it get done. um, I think any of the setbacks I've had in the past couple of years, I immediately started thinking about solutions to those setbacks and never thought about like, wow, I guess this doesn't work. I'm a clown. um, I've always thought about, I believe in what I'm trying to offer, and um, like the few people that really champion you and believe in you, I think that will carry you very far. And how they look straight into your eyes and tell you that what you do is just genius, and like how they really believe in what you have to offer. That those compliments I carry deep in my heart, for real. Um, yeah, you just have to to keep going. I also advise to like some people tell you to take a leap. That's true creatively, but I mean, financially, I guess you always want to have some kind of hedge to buy yourself time as you build your business. And yeah, I mean, eventually, if you want to go full time, then when it's the right time, you'll know to do it. But just don't be afraid. There's always going to be someone telling you that what you're doing is not the optimal thing. But if you're trying to do something new, there's always going to be some setbacks and some friction going forward. If you're going to try to normalize something that isn't normal or break into like be disruptive in the industry, then you have to think it from a different angle, and not everyone's going to see what you see. You just have to really believe in it with your gut.
No, man, that is 100% accurate. Like I totally like when you're especially when you're trying to enter the market and to do something that's like new that no one's seen it sometimes there's an extra layer of extra work that needs to be done and you're doing it and you're doing a hell of a job with it. I mean, I love the fact if anything, I'm just sorry that I haven't jumped aboard and gotten more massages from you in the last 3 years not knowing you.
I'll be
Yeah,
around.
and trust me, I will be following. So I definitely, I think you're doing awesome work. I absolutely love. I really appreciate you taking the time to come chat with me about this. Where can people follow you? You could. This is the time to name drop all the places that you either supported you, and whatnot have helped you. I know one of our friends, mutual friends, Amy Brown. Obviously, she was a guest. She was my guest host or my host and interviewed me recently. I know Sandhill Supply Co. Did some stuff for you in the beginning and
Absolutely.
stuff like that. But just kind of name drop some of the places that people can follow you and see you and be able to, if they're there, they'll be able to maybe see you there and maybe get a chair massage.
Yeah, absolutely. So my My go-to spot every week is going to be Red Light on Friday nights and Saturday, Sunday morning. Um, Sometimes I stay for the entirety of Saturday, depends on my calendar. And I'm also going to be regularly showing up at the Borough Cafe and Play. If you haven't been there, it's right on Mills. It's right behind the Mills Market across from Kaya. It's like in that cool little intersection. Um, Beautiful spot. If you haven't been, you have to go. They serve lineage coffee. It's just their design with all the wood and interiors is great. So I'll be there Wednesday and Friday in the daytime, and I'll be adding more days soon. And I'll also be at various markets on the weekends. You can find my calendar at my Instagram, Hokkaido Hank on Instagram. And if you need any kind of banner or digital art design, I highly recommend Sandhill Supply Co. Um, he's just open to any idea and we'll roll with it. And
I love him. He has designed one of my shirts, and I'm working on trying to collab with them on something. So I absolutely love Kevin and Ashley. So yeah,
yeah,
they've been a guest on the podcast, and I'm a huge fan of their work. And you
wicked
obviously,
talent.
yeah, and you could probably see their work in a variety of different places because they do a lot of work in this beautiful city, supporting them and showing their and doing his art and stuff. So yeah, great stuff there. I totally agree with that. Um, have you figured out has basically like the idea of kind of like the bar aspect. I know you've gone to like gnarly barley as well and stuff
Hmm.
like that. Is that kind of what you've kind of noticed that like that's like the perfect like cross section of for you of like where you think like that's a sweet spot for you to be like, hey, I can go to these places because it's something that there's alcohol, there's music, it's chill, it's not, something like that. Is that kind of like where you're kind of looking at like, and the reason I'm also asking is because if people kind of be like, hey, I would love to have him come to my spot, like I'm trying to figure out like what is it that you're kind of looking for, what would be like the perfect spots. Obviously Red Light and the Borough are obviously great places that you're going to, but like out of curiosity, like as you grow and looking for to expand and maybe visit other places to maybe pop up at, what's like the perfect location for you?
I think the perfect location is somewhere where I think people can sit and chill for a while. Um, I think outdoor events are very hit or miss, very momentum based. TBD night market is really awesome, but sometimes, like when there's groups of people walking by, if one person wants to get a massage, then the rest of the group has to wait. Like
Hmm.
that's one of my biggest limitations. So
Yeah.
I kind of lose people fall through my fingers that way. But I think the ideal environment is somewhere where you can kind of watch someone in my chair get massaged from afar and just kind of, you know, tease your curiosity and like what kind of uh, what kind of benefit you could get from that massage.
Yeah. No, and I think that's like saying that the way like from the market compared to being at a place like a red light, where because then it's one of those where you're like, oh well, I'll just have another drink and I'll just like I have another drink, I'll wait and I'll try to get in
Hmm.
line or I'll say, hey, can I be next? And how does that, out of curiosity, how does that process work? Like is there a way like does someone just come up? I'm just kind of curious in case someone's listening and they see this. Like how do you kind of have like, hey, I'm next up type of thing? Is it better to like to approach you as you're doing it and just kind of be like, hey, is there a sign up or what's the best route for people to know about that?
Oh, absolutely. Walking up is the most direct way. If I have more than three people, I do put out a sign up sheet. But otherwise, for I think busier events, especially the outdoor ones, I do bring a cowgirl with me, and she'll be able to engage engage the public while I'm hard at work, and she'll take care of all the payments and all the interactions like that.
No, that's perfect, man. That's
Yeah,
perfect. I do appreciate really you taking the time to chat with me.
yeah. Thanks
It's
for
been
having me.
great getting to get to know you and interact with you, and I'm looking forward to supporting any way I can as well in the future. So that's our show for today. Thank you so much to Josh Shu, Hokkaido, aka the Wellness Sheriff, Hokkaido Hank, for being on and having lunch with me today, and definitely make sure to check them out Follow him online. Make sure if you're out and about, and you see him, don't fret. This cowboy is here for good, and he's ready to take out, adding enough pressure and everything to kind of release that tension from you, that we're all kind of dealing with. So he definitely knows what he's doing. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to tell your friends, share it. If you want to, support me, check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads. Make sure to obviously share sandwich selfies anytime as possible. Thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion.